change what you gave when you took my place. No more guilt but grace.
Time to let it go.
Held on way too long, watching reruns of my wrong. Take the shame away.
No more.
Reliving mistakes you washed away.
So I want you to do what God has already done for you and say,
I forgive me.
it may have taken a while to get to this point, but
I forgive me.
if God has forgiven you, why can't you do the same?
I forgive me.
It's time to stop looking back so God's purpose can move you
I
forward.
forgive me.
You may be saying, James, but you don't know my past. I was wrong.
Yeah, I know it was wrong.
Carried this weight.
Carry this weight for too long.
I want you to get free right now and say,
I forgive me.
you've been hard on yourself long enough.
I forgive me.
You've always felt like you weren't good enough, but that's
I
over.
forgive me.
You've made mistakes, but those mistakes don't get to make you.
I forgive me.
God knew what you do, and He still chose you.
Yeah, I know it was wrong. Carry this weight for too long.
But you've been carrying this weight for far too long.
I forgive me.
Now letting go can be the most difficult part of this process. To have a memory of your past, but not allow those memories to produce the same pain in your future. But today, it's time for you to get your life back. Instead of staying down feeling sorry for yourself, I want you to pick yourself back up and let it go.
I'm letting it go.
The pain of yesterday,
I'm letting it go.
you've already taken too much from me.
You will steal my future anymore.
The memory of every
I'm
mistake.
letting it go.
It's time to receive God's
I'm
grace.
letting it go.
You can't change His mind about you anyway.
You will steal my future anymore.
You could have been a better mother,
I'm letting it go.
and maybe you should have been a better father. So pick up the phone and call that child. It's not too late.
You will steal my future anymore.
It's time to let go of the shame.
I'm letting it go.
The stuff they put on your name. The debt was canceled when Jesus came.
You will steal my future anymore.
Hallelujah. The cycle's been broken, and now
You will steal my future anymore.
God's restoring the years that you thought you lost. He's gonna refund you for the time you wasted.
You will steal my future anymore.
Somebody say, I got a future. I don't have an obituary. I got a future. Grace kept me alive because I got a future. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus. Bless your name, God.
I forgive me.
Maybe you didn't get it right the first time,
I forgive me.
but God has already forgiven you.
I forgive me.
Now it's time for you to forgive yourself.
I forgive me.
Don't let who you were interfere with who God's allowing you to become.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
It is now time for the live broadcast of the NAACP with Gwinnette Westbrook and Mr. Dumas.
Good evening, listeners. The NAACP Truth is glad to be here today. We have some information for you and kind of give you a little update about our Freedom Fund banquet that we had this past weekend. It was an awesome event. Just want to thank God for allowing us to be able to put this event on, and also acknowledge and recognize some people that have dedicated themselves to our community. Um, I just believe in giving people their flowers while they can smell them. Um, we just have to make sure that we do that, because a lot of time people will do things in the community they're never acknowledged or anything like that. So we want people to know that we appreciate their service to our community. So this past Saturday we had our Freedom Fund Awards banquet. Earl T. Shinhouse's Freedom Fund Awards banquet, and as you know, this is our largest um, event that we have, fundraiser that we have every year around sometime in October, that we have our banquet. And so these funds are basically that we raise or are used back in the community. Things that we do in the community, we have to have money in order to operate. So we do fundraisers to be able to help people in our community, as far as such as some things with housing issues, transportation issues, things like that, that we um, when we trying to help people with different things, we have to get their records or anything like that. It costs to be able to have to do those things. So we just when we're doing our investigation, so we just want to thank everyone that came out and supported this event on Saturday. We had an awesome speaker. Dr. Wanda Smith West was our speaker, and kind of recap on some things she talked about. And she talked about our children, in trouble, and we have to invest in our children, in our communities. And so we want to thank her for that message that she brought on Saturday. Awesome speaker. Um, we're gonna capture some of the things that people that we recognized during that time. We recognized Commissioner Elaine Huckabee Lucas, and our district attorney Anita Reynolds Howard. We recognized them for the Earl T. Shinhouse's Freedom Fund. The Freedom Fund Awards. Um, those two people received those awards, which is one of our highest awards that we give out during our Freedom Fund banquet. So congratulations to Commissioner Elaine Lucas and our district attorney Anita Reynolds Howard for all they do in the community. And we know that Ms. Lucas has been representing and serving this community for many years. Even before she became a commissioner, I think it was called City Council. So she has been serving a very long time, and as many of you know her, that she's gonna speak up for what's right. Sometimes she have to stand alone, but I love that about her, the fact that she's gonna speak up if it's not right. She's not gonna go along with something just because everyone else does. She's her own person. She's been committed to this community, um, serving this community through city council commission, and also her school. She had a vision to be able to give people a second chance and help people that maybe dropped out of school for whatever reason, to give them a second chance to be able to graduate. So we thank her for her service, the district attorney Anita Howard, for the many things that she's doing in our community. Um, and one of the things that touched my heart is with our kids, with our youth, because we all know that something that I mentioned on Saturday that we talked about, where our youth, um, a lot of times, sometimes get in trouble. They um, lose sight of what's going on, and they may get in trouble. Well, putting them in prison is not the option. Sometimes kids just do things that don't require them to be in prison. Um, and so, by her, with the Rise initiative that she has brought in this community, help a lot of kids that have gotten in trouble, and she's giving them a second chance. There's a lot of things involved in that counseling and all this type of things that she's put out there for our community and for our children. And statistics shows that once you put a child in an environment of being locked up, whether it's in YDC or whatever, statistics show that they repeat themselves. They continue to get in trouble once they've been in that type of environment of being in prison. So I want to definitely thank her for that vision of of, uh, of watching over our youth and making sure that our youth get a second chance. Um, I am also um, other things that she's done. She's got a lot of criticism about different things, and people are she's people a lot of times people are unattacked, and not because they're doing something wrong, but because what um, they're doing something right, or they're doing something good, and no matter what you do, people are going to complain, and they're going to. But I just want her to know that we are proud of her. We think that she's doing a good job, and so we just want to make sure that we lift her and Miss Lucas both up in prayer, uh, and make sure that we have that they have our support. Um, the next award that we gave out was our Honorable Thomas M. Jackson Award, which we choose a youth from a high school, and so we give them an award and a monetary donation for scholarship. So Benjamin Jerome Ridley Jr. received that award, and he's one of the criteria for those is a certain grade point average, and also being involved in community service. That's a big thing for us to be in community service volunteering, because we don't get paid. Everything that we do is strictly volunteer. Is a volunteer position that we're in. So we want to thank Benjamin Ridley Jr. for his community service in our community, and in keeping good grades. The next award that we gave out was the Abdul Laurie Organization Service Award. Was Lambda Phi chapter of Omega uh, fraternity, and so they received that award um, on Saturday for their community service. A lot of people are not familiar with the fact that the fraternities and the sororities have MOUs with the NAACP on a national level. So all these organizations normally they participate and volunteer with the NAACP. So these fraternities or sororities, they volunteer with us mostly our um, our GOTV, Get Out to Vote, voter registration, voter education. They're very supportive with us with that. So we want to thank them for their service in the community. The communication award went to WGXA 24 News. They received the communication award, and their very own Brittany um, uh, was there to. She was there as a mistress of ceremony, and we want to thank her for her for being there. Ms. Miller was very that was her first time being the NAACP's mistress of ceremony, and we want to thank Ms. Miller for her presence there to make sure our program went smooth. We gave Lieutenant Reginald Thomas the Community Service Award. Even though he's being paid for being in his position, he goes outside of the box and go way and beyond just receiving a paycheck. He's really concerned about our children, and our children respect him, because one thing about it, he's been in the community a long time, and he knows what it takes to bring our children in, and to make sure that our children are, if they get in trouble, he knows how to talk to them to bring them back to where they need to be. And so we want to thank Lieutenant Reginald Thomas for his community service. Um, he's been with Bibb County community since 1999. 2 years of police department and 9 years with the Bibb County Sheriff Department, and 20 years of members of hostage negotiating crisis management team, served years at rank of sergeant and years of lieutenant. So we want to thank you so much, Reginald Thomas, for your community service. The other award we gave was Mr. Herbert Denard. He was recognized also for community service, which you all know that he's been in this community for a very long time, former um, owner of Georgia Informer, and also he has the walk away initiative that he has going on that I do take part with him in going into the jail and visiting the jails, and we want to thank him for allowing the NAACP to be a part of that. The next award went to Dr. Dan Sims, our superintendent for the school district. And a lot of you know, um, when you have someone in that type of position, a lot of times, superintendents are, uh, uh, they are, if you're a CEO or whatever, you're in your office because that's what they normally do. But we have a superintendent that actually get out into the schools and interact with our children, and they know who he is. Sometimes our students don't even know who our superintendent is. They know that there is a superintendent, but they don't know who he is. So he's there interacting with our children. And I think that's just so very special because um, people need to. Sometimes you have to meet kids or meet anywhere, any person, anybody where they are. And so by him being able to be physically in the atmosphere, in the same location with the kids and in the environment with those kids, I know it means a lot for them for his presence to be there, and to make sure that our schools are the school criteria and academics are on the level that they should be. We want to thank him for bringing those schools up. Thank you so much for Dr. Sims for your hard and dedicated work with our students. Um, Carlton Kitchen received the music award, the Harvey Lee Hollenshed Music Award, and some of these names that we're calling, as far as the awards, like names Harvey Lee Hollenshed, some of these awards come from members that are deceased, um, that were um, sometimes some of them are members of the NAACP, some of them were not members. They volunteered, and they were dedicated volunteers to our organization. So some of these awards are named after deceased members or deceased um, persons that dedicated their service and volunteered with the NAACP. And Carlton Kitchen received that award, and he is the forming the Macon Mass Choir. Um, so Carlton has been directing, and for a very long time he's even directed choirs that I've sang in. And so we want to thank Carlton Kitchen for his dedicated service to this community. As many of you know, music, songs bring people together. People can be divided in so many different ways, but when it comes to music, um, it brings people together. Any type of music, but especially gospel music. Our veteran awards went to Simonia Ridley Blassingame. Um, she served 25 years in the military, and she moved back home to Macon. And so we want to thank her for her service to our country. Um, and we thought that this award was so deserving to her. Our next award went to, and also our award went to Miss and the Ann Boatwright Thomas Women in the NAACP Award went to our very own Brenda Atside Woodford. She's the secretary for the NAACP, and she is a woman in the NAACP, and we want to thank her for her service to this organization as the secretary. She goes way and beyond her duties as the secretary. Thank you so much, Brenda Woodford. The President's Award went to Sharon Stafford, and we want to thank her for her service because what she's done, it was tragically, uh, her niece was actually killed involving domestic violence. And since that time, she has brought awareness to domestic violence. And so we want to thank her for uh, her service in bringing awareness to our women and men, because sometimes people think just men. Women are the only ones that where domestic violence is involved, but men are also abused also. And so we want to thank her for every year, and not just yearly, but bringing awareness to our communities doing domestic violence. And also she also makes sure that women You know, our health is very important to us, and especially a lot of women do not do uh, do self breast check, and she makes sure, she's going to send something out letting you know that it's time for you to do that, to make sure you do that. And a lot of women don't do that. It's early detection, and breast cancer may not be breast cancer. It may just be something else that's not that's could be just fatty tissue or fibrocystic or something, anything. It could be not related to cancer, but by you doing a self breast check every month, sometimes things happen from month to month. So we want to thank you, Sharon Stafford, for making sure our women are educated and making sure that you're reminding us that we need to do that on a monthly basis. Thank you so much um, for your service. The next award went to Patricia. I'm sorry, Vanessa Welch, Pastor Vanessa Welch. She received the President's Award, and she received that award because of her ministry, where she has a ministry that houses men um, that's involving drugs and alcohol. So we want to thank her for her ministry, and she has other things that she's been recognized for. But this is a recovery program. So we want to thank you for her service. A lot of times, people, uh, when things happen, women and children, there's different programs out there for women and children all the time. I see it. I've used to work with social work, doing social work, and so there is sometimes there's nothing available for men. And I can remember a while back when we had this issue with Crystal Lake, when code enforcement came out and said that they had to move out, didn't really give them a lot of time. They had to move out. The men were actually not didn't receive help. It was just women and children received help, and so the NAACP stepped in to put men in hotels and pay for their hotels room because um, they were not included in that process, which they should have been, because some men were disabled, and so we can't discriminate when it comes to with those type of needs, because men should be included in those types of decisions when it comes to um, receiving help from anything. Men and women both and children should be included. We can't discriminate based on sex. But we want to thank her for her service. Um, we also the Macon Alumni Chapter. Um, those are some of the people, our sponsors. Alpha Kappa, Alpha Sorority, uh, sponsorship, Robbins, uh, Robbins Financial Credit Union, um, sponsorship, New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, uh, Greater Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church, Union Baptist Church, um, and so we have some others here: New Pleasant Grove, Greater Antioch Missionary Church, Evangelical Ministry Alliance, myself, my husband, and myself, Georgia Power, um, Atrian Health, Central Georgia Federation of Trade, Adams, Jordan, and Harrington, A. Philip Randolph, the Bibb County Government, and District Attorney Anita Howard's office, and also um, the MLK Commission. Um, MLK Commission also supported the organization. And so again, we want to thank everyone for their participation in our program. And like I said, the monies that we received does not is put back in our community. Want to talk a little bit about some things that I have concerns about, and we gotta, and it was talked about a little bit, kind of mentioned in at our freedom from banquet. And a lot of times we put people in positions in these elected officials in office, and then we criticize them. And I'm not saying that if they're doing something wrong, then I'm not saying that we should not say anything. But what we have to do is not. We need to concentrate on basically what's true, and if it's related to our community, we have to stop um, criticizing our elected officials on personal stuff that has nothing to do with our community. And I believe that if you're in a position and you believe that something is not quite right, you should go to those people represent all of us. You can go to that person yourself and not spread it in over the whole community. Go to that person yourself, and you go to your that person represents you. You go to them, you talk to them, you tell them what your thoughts are. You don't tell it to 25, 30 different people, and then it may not even be true. If it's related to our community, you still talk to that person. We have to stop uh, this nonsense in getting involved in personal things with our elective officials, or even whoever it is. But I'm just seeing that a lot. I know that um, we have overseers now with our district attorney, um, where someone can file a complaint, and if they feel the panel that they have feel that they've done something wrong, they can actually remove them as the district attorney or as the solicitor when the people actually voted them in there. So a lot of things, you know, you just have to be careful now because you don't know what people motive is. You don't know what people reason is for doing. But if, like I said again, if there is an issue that you think that there's a concern with our elected officials, that person, you voted for that person, and whether you voted for them or not, they're still serving this entire community. You need to sit down and talk with that person and get the right information, get the answer that you're looking for, because nobody else can give it to you but that person, but the person that's involved in it. You need to talk to that person and stop going around everywhere talking about something that may not even be true. If you want to know the truth, go directly to your elected officials and find out what you need to find out. Um, I want to talk about a little bit also about the um, we're still looking for the inmates that um the people that escaped from the jail. There's been a lot of talk about um the what happened, during the in escape. And so, you know, there's a lot of issues going on in our jail that a lot of people um that I'm seeing different people outside the jail protesting. We've actually met with our sheriff and his staff regarding the conditions of the jail. Yes, it's time for a new jail. The reason the way that they got the jail now that they had to file a lawsuit was filed in order to get that jail. Um, there are things that that yes needs to be fixed. I get complaints all the time regarding the conditions of the jail. We address those with our sheriff department to make sure that those conditions or those whatever needs to be done, that is being done. We see that people are having uh, different meetings regarding the conditions of the jail. But the people, when these people have problems, they call the NAACP. We have yet been invited to, uh, you know, I don't even know when the meetings are taking place that they're having these public meetings. But at the same time, we do know that we have a jail that we need a new jail. And when something is that old, thing sometimes things can't even be repaired. I get pictures all the time, and that but we still have to make sure that people living in a safe and environment, and living in in a healthy environment. And some of that stuff that's being sent to me and reported to the NAACP is not. And so normally when we call or make contact with our sheriff, you know, they have someone that I normally deal with. Sometimes they allow me to go into the jail um, to basically see what someone is complaining about. Um, but we do know that we have it's going to take another jail. Um, my concerns was also just like some of the concerns that Sheriff Davis talked about with the cells not being locked. Um, some of the concerns that I have is safety. Some of that the NAACP have is safety issues where people are not in cells and they're walking around. People are being injured. Other inmates are being injured, and I'm just asking, for the community support and community help. You have loved ones down there. Please, you can't control and you can't tell anybody what to do, but we got people that are being seriously injured in the jail by other inmates, where we're having to call and say, can you move somebody somewhere else because their life has been threatened, or they've gotten stabbed, or you know families you know are calling. And a lot of times, uh, people in jails, something happens, the family member gets the information. And so I see a lot of that where people are being actually injured, stabbed, while they're in our jail system. And a lot of times these things are beefs that are brought into the jail from the streets, and some of it is not. Some of it is people are extorting money out of other inmates and uh, taking their belongings, or telling them they got to have so much money. And they're taking their food and that they buy. And what's happening, people are afraid, and so they are trying to protect themselves while they're in jail, but they end up getting another charge. And so at the same time, um, the NAACP needs your support too. When you communicate with your family member, you need to just make sure, like I said, you can't tell them, you can't they're incarcerated and you're not, but you can encourage them to do the right thing while they're there, because I assure you, these judges are going to be using folks for an example. And we're already incarcerated, and then we're still getting in trouble while we're incarcerated, catching aggravated assault charges, being charged with other charges because you stabbed somebody, or actually attacked someone else. We gotta stop it. It has to stop. And so we do know that we got some serious issues. Um, we do know that it's going to take a new jail to be able to bring this jail up to code. And I've talked to Sheriff Davis about it, and he's saying the same thing, that we're going to have to, we're going to need a new jail, and it could take years to for that to be done. But at the same time, we gotta use what we have. We just got to ensure that safety for the people that's in the jail. That's one of my. Very concerned about the conditions of the jail, but I'm concerned about the safety uh, in the jail also. Uh, like I said, a lot of these folks got beats before they get in there. They would Once people get locked up together, this is what's happening. Um, so I just want to make sure that I put that out there, because I get a lot of complaints from uh, people that are that are incarcerated.
It's AM and FM, how you heard it in the old days. The new 107.9 FM and 980 AM WDDO, The Glory.